actually, that's another reference to Serious House on Serious Earth. Is that idea of these doctors that the patients are basically holding on to their particular doctors in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
Special combo throw.
I think we talked about it briefly. The combat for this game, while nowadays there have been a bunch of copycats for it, really was pretty groundbreaking. It was the first Batman game to kind of nail this concept of Batman's pretty good at what he does.
And I think that's something important to remember, is that he's the world's greatest detective, and he's also probably, I think, officially the number 4 world's greatest martial artist now. I'd have to see where he falls in terms of the Kane family. Because the world's greatest martial artist is Lady Shiva,
who we will not go into a lot of detail on in this set of videos.
I love Lady Shiva. I could go all day about her, but I'm not going to. And then there's Richard Dragon, who is a adorable sort of ginger version of Bruce Lee. He was conceived in the 70s as this guy sort of trying to exploit kung fu movies and give sort of a safe white alternative to the actual genre. A bit more than a little bit problematic. And Lady Shiva comes from that area as well. But Lady Shiva is sort of canon better at martial arts than Richard is, just because she's basically a physical savant.
But that's in later games that becomes a more and more important thing, and we will get to those games eventually, and we'll cover this all then.
Yes. After them, and somebody who never appears. Where did she go? You only killed there was really just the one guy? Really? Wow, Joker, this was really badly planned on your part. Well played.
What's that collar do? Why is it making that noise?
It's the suicide collar, but it sounds weird.
Suicide collar?
Well, they've got some other name, but, well, we just use them to monitor patients' heartbeats. If it drops too low, the alarm goes off and a crash team rushes in.
And so does my crew if you trigger one. How do you like them apples, bats? Standing around in the... let's see... the West Wing. They'd be there now if they weren't busy knocking a little sense into cash. I'll tell you what, I won't spoil the surprise and let them know you're coming.
Alright, so before we continue on our explanation of things, that's a little addition to the gameplay that when it first showed up the first time I played this game, I was actually pretty happy, because once you pick up the inverted takedown, stealth gets really easy in this game. And I'm not saying I like my stealth tough as nails, but I do like some gratifying challenge to it. And the whole monitor collar thing, as you're about to see, does change that quite a bit.
Oh, Cash, you're so awesome. You remind me of Crispus Allen. I love Crispus Allen. Crispus Allen is one of the stars of Gotham Central, my favorite comic that I've mentioned before. He also becomes the Spectre. It's a whole other thing.
So martial artists in the DC universe.
Oh yeah, it goes like 3-4 kind of tied, is Cassandra Cain, who is the daughter of, spoilers for the comics, Lady Shiva, and David Cain, who is an assassin for the League of Assassins. Cass Cain, just like her mother, has this ability to read people's bodies, to read body language as if it's language itself. And it makes her ability in combat almost psychic in nature. Or I guess precognitive is probably a better way to put it. Then Batman. But the big thing is that Cass, for the first, for the early years of her life, didn't have any language at all. She didn't speak, Japanese. She didn't speak any of the languages that you see. Oh my God, there's so many. Oh no, Batman. The only language she had was bodies, and that's what made her so good at her job. And then there's Batman. And Richard Dragon is also great because he was in a wheelchair for a weird decade. Just for funsies, to learn what it was like to be in a wheelchair. That was weird. Richard is very weird.
Indeed.
But Richard Dragon is usually the guy that Batman sends his Robins to train them.
And sometimes they come back.
Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't.
Come on, game. Alright, so the stealth for this game is quite good, but it does have this odd tendency to glitch up quite a bit. And it drove me nuts and still does to this day.
You do have some camera issues happening here.
Yes. The camera for this game is very far from perfect. As much as it saddens me to say that.
Wake up, do you hear me? Wake up!
So we would know if they had the heart rate monitors
They all
on.
have them.
They all have
Basically,
them.
the assumption is from this point on, any enemy you come across in the game in these were called predator sections is equipped with the weird heart rate monitor. It adds challenge, which is nice. So you can see it around their necks roughly.
Ah, there we go. I was going to say, yeah, you're going to see a lot of detective mode in these sections,
It's
guys.
unfortunately important in this game.
You kind of need it.
Oh, and not to go into other games too much, as I have a tendency to do in these anthropologies, but they fix it. Like a big criticism this game actually got when it first came out was just how much time you spent in detective mode. And the game at the time, and still does to a certain extent, looks quite nice. But you wouldn't see it because everything had this blue and purple color palette, because things tended to blend in unfortunate ways.
Yeah. It just looks a lot like that Daredevil movie, I'm telling you. It's a lot like the Daredevil movie.
Which is not a good thing.
Hey, there were some good elements to the Daredevil movie. Only like 2, but they were good. So have we seen a great takedown? I love great takedowns.
I'll get to a great takedown eventually. I won't be able to pull it off till I get in a room where it just makes sense, if that makes any sense.
No, it's cool.
Stand down! Stand down! Get away from me! You gotta hurry!
Part of the issue is that there are just better... Using the gargoyles until later on in the game when they start blowing up
Yes.
really is the best approach. As you can see, it gives you a lot of options. And for some dumb reason, and maybe it's because it would be unfair if they made it too difficult, enemies have a really hard time keeping track of you when you're up there. And you can just dodge out of situations you shouldn't be able to.
Yay, cash.
Thanks.
Where did Dr. Young go?
I told her to run. These guys came in looking for her. I told her to go to her office and hide.
Does she keep her records there?
I guess. She was pretty desperate to get in there. Her office is over there.
How long ago was this? I need to find her notes before Joker gets his hands on them.
20 minutes, maybe more. What's so important about the notes?
Joker wants them. That makes them important. Stay here. I'm going to find her.
Not a problem. I'll try the radio, see if anyone else is around.
So is Cash a character in the larger Batman universe?
I'm trying to think, and I want to double check, because the reason I mentioned Crispus Allen is that he sort of, he's my fave. And he is also a very cool, black guy in a law enforcement capacity. But because the cool thing about Gotham Central is that they introduced you to all these these characters that some of you knew, like Harvey Bullock, had been in the comics for years, and he showed up in Batman the Animated.
And he's a great character. He's kind of the one normal cop left in Gotham. He's kind of like, what the fuck, guys, constantly.
Yeah, and he's gonna be a main character in the new Gotham television series for Fox, played by Donald Logue.
That's a choice.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one because I only knew him from the dating my teenage daughter thing, which is embarrassing because he actually has a really impressive dramatic career.
That's, I think, someone else you're thinking of. Oh. Okay. So, herein lies the issue I have with a lot of these Castlevania-style games, is that if you miss that door that you should have seen on the map, which I'm admitting I should have seen it, it can get a little tiring backtracking because you missed one little detail.
Okay, so wait, so Cash is always there is a guard, and I think from what my research is telling me, it is Cash.
He's like the one honest.
He's the one guard that's not like Guantanamoing the inmates.
That's good of him.
Yeah. And the reason I'm remembering is I couldn't remember whether he's in Battle for the Cowl, which is another one of my fave.
It's a little bit silly, though.
It's very silly. But this allows me to talk about Final Crisis, which I love talking about Final Crisis.
God. I don't like Final Crisis. Final Crisis is everything wrong, in my opinion, with the DC universe. But I'm not shut up about that now.
Well, okay, so here's the thing about Final Crisis is that...
Want to back up and explain what Final Crisis is first?
Yeah, no, this is... I wanted to preface this
Fair
by
enough.
saying that there have been many crises in the DC universe, and they're just basically these large-scale crossover events.
And when we say large scale, we don't mean like 5 super teams. We mean every superhero teams up.
You have to buy every book in order to do a DC crossover
It's a
event.
truly brilliant evil marketing scheme.
It's true. So the whole idea with Final Crisis was in theory it's supposed to be the last time they're going to do something like this because it's going to break the world. And the way that they sort of just conceived to do that was to have Darkseid, who, yes, his name is Darkseid. That is spelled D... Whoop. We got some Arkham shit. Poor Amadeus. Look, creepy rings. Creepy rings, you guys.
So, little backstory on that one. Amadeus goes crazy and seals the demons of Arkham by doing this to his own room. He wants him as an inmate of his own asylum kind of thing, with his fingernails or something, and the story is he carves it into the ground.
Yep. Yeah, there's a certain irony to that.
It certainly is.
But the thing about Final Crisis is that so Darkseid, who is sort of the quintessential DC mega villain.
And we do mean mega villain.
Mega villain.
He's undeniably evil. Even.
Yes, and especially because if you're a Marvel fan, you know the name Jack Kirby and you know the name Stan Lee. And Jack Kirby and Stan Lee used to work together. Work together after New Gods, a bunch. But Stan and Jack had like a little creative falling out. And Jack decided to go work for DC for a while. And a lot of your favorite characters were conceived by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
And this feud, for that matter.
And the feud, yeah. So, and the thing, like...
Idiot. Joker's not gonna be happy, and you know what that means.
Quiet! Just shut up!
Oh, no.
I'm trying!
Just do it.
I always feel really bad for Joker henchmen.
It's the rats!
Like, what do you say if Joker's like, I know where your fam is? The trick is to not have a fam. That's the real trick. I like that he left his gun there. That's really nice of
He
him.
kind of knocked it out of his hands. All right, so Darkseid.
So Jack Kirby, so Stan Lee came up with all the adjectives, the Fantastic Four and the Amazing Spider-Man.
He's big into alliteration, by the way.
He loves his adjectives. The Incredible Hulk. So Jack Kirby created the feel and look of a lot of major Marvel figures. To be fair, Spider-Man is Ditko, but otherwise, Jack Kirby's your guy, especially when it comes to Fantastic Four. So Kirby has a little falling out with Stan, and he goes to work for DC. And they sort of say, Jack, this is your first time conceiving
character.
without Stan. What do you want to do? What's something that's sort of been kicking around your brain? And he comes up with what are called the New Gods, which are a group of aliens that are that are sort of mystical beings. And these kind of, one of them's named Orion, and they're good ones. It's sort of like the best analog to use now is probably Thor.
Someone has already got to the safe. The only question now is, who opened it? No sign of forced entry. Whoever opened it knew the combination. Let's see. Good. Dr. Young got to her notes before Joker. She's taken them to hide somewhere. I need to follow her and find out where she put them.
So,
We're gonna be detectives now, guys.
before Lil goes too far, that is obviously a Black Skull reference. And
Black Mask.
Black Mask,
Yeah.
sorry. Red Skull is Marvel.
That's a very, it's a very dangerous thing to be involved in.
That one could have been solved by a monkey. But good job, nevertheless.
Oh, shut up, Riddler.
Oh, Riddler. I love your jerk face. You're such a jerk face.
Anyways, so Darkseid and the New Gods.
I could talk about the New Gods for a while. I don't really want to do that to you.
It's convoluted and part of
it's-
why I hate Final Crisis.
Yeah,
or Crisis in general.
it's convoluted and it's,
I've had to calibrate the scanner
a pain.
to show recent prints. If I follow these, I will find her or the notes.
I hope it works. Just so you know, the GCPD found one of Joker's bombs downtown. It was full of marzipan and kittens.
As I thought, it's just a twisted diversion. The real action's on Arkham.
That's funny. Kittens.
Stupid kitten bomb.
Kitten bombs. I want a kitten bomb. But the thing about Darkseid that sort of kicks in is that Darkseid's whole goal in life is to find the anti-life equation. The anti-life equation is my favorite concept in comics. And I know that anybody who knows the comics is going to think that's stupid, but hold on for 2 seconds. So the thing about the anti-life equation and the way it's used in Final Crisis is that it is a mathematical equation, an algorithm of sorts that allows you, that basically convinces you to give up on free will, to give up on life. And of course a supervillain would want this. He could control the world with this. And honestly, when you watch Avengers, it's very clear.
Incident with Dr. Frank. He appears to have suffered a breakdown of sorts. I believe it was brought about after the loss of his wife and child. As yet, the patient has been unable to speak. Continued observation shows little mental activity. It's as if the shock of what he saw triggered his mental collapse.
There's someone in here! It's him. We found him. Break down the door!
Note to self, as ever, it is difficult to continue my research under such conditions.
Step away from Dr. Combs! Now! Get down on the ground! We found him. Someone get a medic. Oh, God, what's he done to him?
That was obviously Scarecrow.
Oh, Crane, I love you so much.